Ambassador Cyril's crystalline antennae twitched with irritation as she studied the human sitting across from her. This was not going according to protocol. "I don't understand," she said, her translator struggling to maintain the proper formal tones. "We're offering triple the standard mercenary rates. Why are you hesitating?" Captain Sarah Chen leaned back in her chair, seemingly unconcerned by the difference in their species status. Her dark eyes reflected the sharp lighting of the orbital station's conference room, and a slight smile played at the corners of her mouth. "Ambassador, you're approaching this all wrong," Chen said. "The credits aren't the issue. We need to know what we're fighting for." Cyril's second heart began beating faster with frustration. The Ziriaxian Collective had spent decades perfecting their approach to hiring mercenary forces. Their reputation for generous payment and clear objectives had earned them respect across 3 spiral arms. But these humans, they asked questions, so many questions. "The objective is simple," Cyril said, her crystalline fingers tapping against the holoscreen between them. "Your company will help us defend our mining operations in the Scorpius Drift from pirate raids. The contract is for 6 standard months." Chen's smile widened slightly. "And these pirates, would they happen to be the indigenous Krell who claim ancestral rights to those asteroids?" Cyril's antennae froze mid-twitch. How had they? The information was classified at the highest levels. She forced her breathing to remain steady, but knew the human had caught her reaction. "That's not relevant to the contract," Cyril said carefully. "It's entirely relevant," Chen replied, standing up to pace the room. Her movement was fluid despite the station's artificial gravity being set to Ziriaxian standard, 1.3 times Earth normal. These humans were adaptable. Cyril had to give them that. "See, we do our homework, Ambassador. The Krell were mining those asteroids for rare Earth elements long before your corporations arrived. They might use outdated ships, but they're fighting for their homes. That makes them freedom fighters, not pirates." "Their claims are unsubstantiated," Cyril protested. "We have legal mining rights granted by the Galactic Commerce Council." "The same council where the Ziriaxian Collective holds 3 seats and the Krell have none." Chen stopped pacing and planted her hands on the table, leaning forward. "Here's how this works. If you want the best human mercenary company in the sector, you need to be honest with us. We don't fight just for credits. We fight for causes we believe in." Cyril's antennae drooped slightly. This was unprecedented. In her 60 cycles of diplomatic service, she'd never encountered mercenaries who cared about the politics behind their contracts. The humans were supposed to be practical creatures, motivated by profit like any sensible species. "What would you suggest?" Cyril found herself asking, surprising even herself. Chen sat back down, her expression growing serious. "Negotiate with the Krell. Offer them a fair stake in the mining operations. We'll provide security for both parties and help train their crews on modern equipment. Everyone profits. No one dies unnecessarily." "The Collective would never," Cyril began. "Then find yourself another mercenary company," Chen said firmly. "But good luck finding one with our success rate. The galaxy's changing, Ambassador. The old ways of simply taking what you want, they don't work so well anymore." Cyril stared at the human for a long moment. Her superiors would be furious if she even considered such terms. But Chen was right. Humanity's combat record was extraordinary. Their adaptability, their tactical innovations, their mysterious ability to form bonds with alien species, these were assets the Collective desperately needed. "I will consult with my superiors," Cyril said finally. "But I make no promises." "Fair enough." Chen stood and offered her hand, a human gesture of respect that Cyril had studied. "We'll wait 48 hours for your answer. Just remember, you're not just hiring soldiers. You're hiring our conscience too." As Cyril watched the human captain leave the conference room, she realized that everything she'd been taught about dealing with mercenaries was wrong. The humans' gravity tolerance wasn't their most remarkable feature. It was their unbending moral compass. and somehow she suspected that might prove more valuable than any weapon they could bring to bear. She began composing her report to the Collective Council, knowing it would cause an uproar. But perhaps that was exactly what they needed. The Ziriaxian High Command didn't take the news well. Admiral Vextra's hologram loomed over Cyril's desk, his bristling antennae casting fractured shadows across the station's walls. "You let a human dictate terms to you. Have you lost your crystalline mind, Ambassador?" Cyril forced her own antennae to remain still, a gesture of calm defiance. "Admiral, I invite you to review the combat footage I've attached to my report, specifically the Battle of Proxima Delta." The Admiral's expression shifted as new data scrolled across his neural feed. Cyril knew exactly what he was seeing. Grainy footage of 3 human ships taking on a Drachnid battle fleet. The humans had been outgunned, outmanned, and surrounded. They'd won anyway. Impressive, Vextra admitted grudgingly, but irrelevant. "We need soldiers who follow orders, not philosophers with plasma cannons." A new voice cut through the conversation. "Then you need different soldiers." Cyril spun around. Captain Chen stood in the doorway, somehow having bypassed the chamber's security protocols. The human's expression remained neutral, but her stance radiated confidence. "This is a private conference," Vextra thundered. "How dare you? Your encryption is outdated," Chen said simply. "Just like you're thinking. Ambassador Cyril understands what you don't. The galaxy is changing. The old powers are falling. The species that adapt will survive. The rest," she shrugged. "Well, ask the Drachnid how fighting humans work out for them." Cyril watched in fascination as the Admiral's color shifted from deep blue to pale green, a sign of both rage and fear in their species. "Are you threatening us, human?" "No," Chen replied. "I'm offering you an opportunity. We've spent the last 24 hours analyzing your situation with the Krell. Your mining operations are running at 40% efficiency because of the constant raids. You're losing ships, crews, and resources. And the Krell, they're getting more sophisticated with each attack. Someone's helping them." Cyril's antennae quivered. "That's impossible. We monitor all traffic in the sector." "The Ondari cartel," Chen said. "They're supplying the Krell through quantum tunnels. Very hard to detect unless you know exactly what to look for. We found their signatures all over the region." Now it was Vextra's turn to show surprise. The Ondari were supposed to be their allies. If they were secretly arming the Krell, how did you acquire this intelligence? The Admiral demanded. Chen's smile was razor sharp. "We have our methods. More importantly, we have a solution. But it requires you to swallow some of that famous Ziriaxian pride." Cyril watched the human carefully. There was something else going on here, something beneath the surface. Chen was playing a deeper game. "The Krell aren't your enemies," Chen continued. "They're potential partners being manipulated by the Ondari, who want to keep this region destabilized. Work with us, and we'll help you forge a real alliance with the Krell. Together, you can push the Ondari out of this sector entirely." Vextra's hologram flickered as he processed this. "And what do you humans get out of this arrangement? Besides our fee?" Chen's expression grew serious. "We get to prevent another unnecessary war. We get to help 2 species find common ground. And maybe, just maybe, we get to show the galaxy that there's a better way to resolve conflicts than simply shooting at each other." Cyril found herself nodding slowly. Now she understood why Chen had let herself be discovered eavesdropping. This wasn't just a negotiation. It was a demonstration. The humans were showing them exactly what they could bring to the table: intelligence, strategy, and a perspective that the Collective's rigid hierarchy would never have considered. The Admiral's hologram sputtered. "I will need to consult with the Council." "You have 24 hours, Chen said firmly. "After that, our offer expires. And trust me, you don't want us working for the other side." After Vextra's hologram vanished, Cyril turned to the human captain. "You planned this from the beginning, didn't you? The information about the Andari, the timing of your entrance. Chen's smile returned. Ambassador, if there's one thing humans understand, it's that sometimes the best way to win a fight is to prevent it from happening in the first place. The question is, are your people ready to learn that lesson? As Cyril began drafting her next report to the council, she realized that the humans weren't just selling their military prowess. They were offering something far more valuable. A new way of thinking about power, justice, and the future of interstellar relations. And that, she suspected, was worth far more than any amount of credits they could offer. The attack came without warning. The orbital station's emergency lights bathed the conference room in crimson as alarms screamed through the corridors. Cyril's antennae vibrated with the proximity alerts, multiple ships dropping out of quantum space, weapons hot. Andari Strike Force, Chen announced, already moving. Her hands flew across her tactical display. 7 destroyers, 3 heavy cruisers. They must have traced our intelligence gathering. Vextra's hologram crackled with interference. Our defense fleet is 18 minutes out. The station's shields won't. The first impacts rocked the station, cutting him off. Cyril stumbled, but Chen caught her arm, steadying her with surprising gentleness, despite the human's superior strength. Ambassador, is there a safe room nearby? Chen asked, her other hand already pulling a compact neural transmitter from her uniform. 2 decks down, but good. Go there. Now. Chen's voice carried the unmistakable tone of command. My ship is docked at port 6. 3 minutes ago, I ordered them to power up weapons and shields. Cyril's translator struggled with the human's rapid-fire instructions. 1 light frigate against 10 Andari warships. That's suicide. Chen's grim smile returned. You still don't understand humans, Ambassador. We specialize in impossible odds. She activated her neural transmitter. All hunter units, execute Protocol Omega. Authorization, Chen 7 Delta. The station shuddered again. Through the reinforced windows, Cyril watched in astonishment as sleek shapes detached from the station's shadow. 5 more human ships, running dark until now, their profiles barely visible against the void. You had backup hidden this whole time, Cyril demanded. Rule 1 of human tactics, always have a contingency plan. Chen's fingers danced across her tactical display. Rule 2, make the enemy play your game, not theirs. The human ships moved with impossible coordination, as if they shared a single mind. They slipped between the Andari formations, turning their battle line into chaos. Energy weapons lashed out with surgical precision, targeting engines and weapon systems rather than going for killing blows. We're not trying to destroy them, Chen explained, noting Cyril's confusion. We're proving a point. Another explosion rocked the station. Klaxons wailed as the artificial gravity fluctuated. Chen cursed, an expression her translator refused to process, and grabbed Cyril's arm again. Safe room. Now, this isn't a suggestion. They ran through the corridors, passing panicked station crew and malfunctioning systems. Chen moved with practiced ease despite the unstable gravity, practically carrying Cyril when necessary. They reached the safe room just as all power failed, emergency batteries kicking in with a whine. Through the safe room's quantum-hardened displays, they watched the battle unfold. The human ships danced through the Andari formation, systematically disabling their targets while avoiding critical damage. It was like watching predators playing with their prey, except you're hurting them, Cyril realized suddenly. But why? A new set of signatures appeared on the tactical display. Smaller ships, dozens of them, emerging from the asteroid field. Their design was familiar, yet modified, more advanced than she remembered. The Krell, Chen confirmed. We've been training them for the past month, giving them some upgrades, showing them how humans fight. The Krell ships swarmed the Andari fleet's flanks, using the asteroids as cover. Their tactics mirrored the humans' precision strikes, targeting systems rather than crew compartments. Within minutes, The mighty Andari strike force was reduced to drifting hulks, their crews alive but thoroughly defeated. Chen's neural transmitter crackled. All targets neutralized. Minimal casualties on both sides. Beginning prisoner extraction. Cyril's antennae trembled with understanding. This entire negotiation, you were setting up this moment, proving that the Krell could be valuable allies, and proving that the Andari were never your friends. Chen nodded. Sometimes the best way to expose a lie is to let your enemies tell it themselves. They came here expecting to stop us from revealing their double-dealing. Instead, they demonstrated it to everyone in the sector. The safe rooms displays showed Krell boarding parties, led by human advisors, securing the Andari ships. The coordination between the two species was seamless, as if they'd been fighting together for years instead of weeks. Your council wanted to see humanity's worth as allies, Chen said quietly. Well, there it is. We don't just fight battles. We change the way others fight them. We turn enemies into partners. We find better solutions than just killing each other. Zertal watched as the Zeriaxian defense fleet finally arrived, their commanders clearly confused by the scene before them. The Council will have to accept the alliance with the Krell now. They have no choice. They always had a choice. Chen's expression was solemn. We just helped them see the better one. As the adrenaline of battle faded, Cyril realized that humans hadn't just won a military victory. They'd orchestrated a complete transformation of the sector's political landscape, using force only as a last resort. And they'd done it all while keeping their true capabilities hidden until the perfect moment. Perhaps, she thought, that was what made humans truly dangerous, not their strength or their technology, but their ability to see possibilities where others saw only obstacles. The real negotiations, she suspected, were just beginning. The collective council chamber hummed with tension 3 days after the Andari attack. 17 crystalline beings sat in tiered rows, their antennae twitching in unison as they processed Captain Chen's presentation. Cyril stood to the side, watching her own species struggle with concepts that now seemed obvious to her. Let me be sure we understand, Council Elder Mix said, her voice resonating through the chamber. You propose a three-way alliance between the collective, the Krell, and your human mercenary company. Not just an alliance, Chen replied, standing relaxed despite the Council's intimidating presence. A partnership. The Krell know these asteroids better than anyone. They've mined them for generations. Their techniques, combined with your advanced technology and our tactical expertise, could triple production within a standard year. Holograms danced above the chamber's central platform, showing projected revenues, security arrangements, and resource distribution plans. The numbers were compelling, even to the most conservative council members. And what prevents the Krell from betraying us once they have access to our technology? Another council member demanded. A new voice answered from the chamber entrance. The same thing that prevents you from betraying us. Mutual benefit. Krell Chief Xavor entered, his scaled form gleaming under the chamber's lights. The council members shifted uncomfortably. This was the first time a Krell had ever entered their sacred space, but Chen had insisted on their presence for this meeting. My people have watched yours for decades, Xavor continued, his translator perfectly matching the council's formal tones. We saw you as thieves, stealing our ancestral rights. But Captain Chen showed us another path. She showed us how cooperation multiplies strength. Xeril noticed how the human captain stayed quiet, letting the Krell leader speak. Another clever tactical choice. The council needed to see the Krell as equals, not subordinates. The Andari thought they could manipulate us, Xavor said. They gave us weapons but treated us like tools. The humans, he gestured to Chen. They gave us knowledge, training, respect. They showed us how to fight smartly, not just fiercely. And most importantly, they showed us how to make peace. The chamber's holograms shifted, showing footage from the battle. But this time, it focused on the aftermath. Human and Krell crews working together to secure Andari prisoners, provide medical aid, and prevent further bloodshed. This is how humans wage war. Chen finally spoke again. We fight to create peace, not perpetuate conflict. The Andari wanted to keep this sector destabilized because it profited them. We're offering you both a chance to build something lasting instead. Elder Mix's antenna waved thoughtfully. And what guarantees do we have that this arrangement will last? None, Chen said simply. That's what trust is about. But consider this. The Krell have already proven their worth as allies. They could have destroyed those Andari ships, killed their crews. Instead, they followed our guidance, showed restraint, demonstrated honor. Isn't that worth more than any written guarantee? Cyril watched the council members communicate silently through their neural networks. She could sense the shift in their crystalline resonance. They were beginning to understand. There's something else, HFY added. Something we discovered in the Andari ship's databases. Show them, Captain. Chen nodded and uploaded new data to the chamber's holographic display. Star charts appeared, showing trade routes, hidden bases, and weapon stockpiles. The Andari weren't just playing our people against each other, Chen explained. They're doing it across 12 sectors, creating conflicts, selling weapons to both sides, keeping regions unstable so they can profit from the chaos. Classic divide and conquer strategy. The council chamber erupted in movement, antenna vibrating with alarm as the implications became clear. With your permission, Chen continued, we'd like to extend our partnership beyond this sector. My company has already contacted other human mercenary groups. We're prepared to help you and the Krell expose the Andari operations throughout this arm of the galaxy. But it only works if we do it together. Elder Mix rose from her seat, her crystalline form catching the light. You ask much of us, Captain Chen, to transform generations of distrust into alliance, to reshape our entire approach to galactic politics. I ask you to evolve, Chen replied firmly. Humanity learned these lessons through centuries of warfare. We're offering you a chance to learn them through cooperation instead. Cyril stepped forward. Honored Council, when we first sought human mercenaries, we thought we were buying soldiers. Instead, we found teachers. The question now is, are we willing to learn? The chamber fell silent as the council members communed. Finally, Elder Mix spoke again. We will need time to formalize the agreements. Time is something the Andari will use against us. Chen interjected. We need to act now, while they're still reeling from their defeat here. My ships are ready. The Krell are ready. Are you? The council chamber resonated with the harmonic frequencies of decision. One by one, the crystalline beings shifted color, the traditional sign of assent. What had started as a simple mercenary contract was about to change the face of galactic politics, and as Carol watched human and Krell leaders begin planning their next moves, she realized that perhaps this had been Chen's goal all along. The humans hadn't just sold their services, they'd sold their vision of the future, and somehow they'd made everyone want to buy it. 6 months after the Andari incident, Cyril stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed Trinity Station, watching ships from 3 different species moving in perfect harmony through the asteroid field. The sight still amazed her. Quite a change from when we first met, isn't it? Captain Chen appeared beside her, looking out at the same view. She traded her tactical gear for a formal uniform, though Cyril noticed she still wore her neural transmitter. The council receives daily reports, but they don't capture this. Cyril gestured at the scene before them. Krell mining ships, guided by their intimate knowledge of the asteroids, extracted resources with precision. Ziriaxian processors refined the materials with their advanced technology. Human vessels provided security and coordination, their presence alone deterring any thoughts of interference. Look there. Chen pointed to a particular ship. That's new. Cyril focused on the vessel, a hybrid design combining Krell maneuverability, Ziriaxian processing systems, and human defensive capabilities. The first of the Trinity-class ships, she noted, built by all 3 species together, and crewed by all 3 as well. Chen added. The Krell are natural pilots. Your people have an innate understanding of quantum mechanics, and humans. Well, we're good at expecting the unexpected. A comfortable silence fell between them as they watched the ship navigate the asteroid field. 6 months ago, such cooperation would have seemed impossible. Now it was becoming routine. The Andari have withdrawn from 3 more sectors, Cyril reported. Your strategy of exposing their operations rather than destroying their forces is proving remarkably effective. Chen smiled. Fear motivates for a moment. Shame lasts forever. Once their other clients saw how they'd been manipulated, the Andari's whole network started falling apart. And the other human mercenary companies, converting their contracts just like we did. Turns out there's good money in teaching people to work together instead of just fighting each other. Chen turned to face Cyril. But that's not why you asked me here, is it? Cyril's antennae twitched. She still hadn't mastered hiding her reactions from humans. No. The council has a new proposal. They want to formalize our arrangement on a permanent basis. I'm listening. Not just as mercenaries or advisors, Cyril continued. They want to establish a joint defense and development force. The Trinity Guard. All 3 species working together to maintain stability in this sector and beyond. With you as its first commander. Chen was quiet for a long moment, studying the ships outside. Your council is willing to share command with a human. After what you've shown us. They're insisting on it. Cyril's antennae vibrated with amusement. Though I suspect they still don't fully understand why your methods work so well. Because we don't just think about winning battles, Chen said softly. We think about winning peace, something I learned from my grandmother, actually. She was a negotiator during the Mars colony crisis. She taught me that true strength isn't about having the biggest guns or the most advanced technology. It's about understanding what everyone needs and finding a way to make those needs align. Outside, the Trinity-class ship completed a complex maneuver, its mixed crew working in perfect coordination. Other ships were already under construction, each one incorporating improvements suggested by all 3 species. The Council has one condition, Cyril added. They want you to teach them, not just tactical doctrine or strategy, but how humans think, how you see possibilities where we see only problems. Chen laughed. That could take a while. We're a complicated species. We have time, Cyril replied. The Krell have agreed to host the training facility on their ancestral grounds. They say it's fitting. The place where conflict began will become a school for peace. Poetic, Chen nodded. And tactically sound, having all 3 species trained together, on ground that holds meaning for one of us. It sends the right message to the rest of the galaxy. A flash of light caught their attention. Another Andari trading fleet had surrendered, this time to a joint patrol. No shots fired, no lives lost, just the steady expansion of stability, one sector at a time. You know, Chen said thoughtfully, when we first arrived, everyone was worried about whether humans could handle your gravity. They never stopped to consider that physical adaptation was the easy part. And the hard part, getting everyone to trust each other, to believe that change was possible. Chen extended her hand, a gesture that Cyril now understood well. But that's what humans do best. We imagine better futures, and then we find ways to build them. As Cyril clasped the human's hand, she realized that her species had hired mercenaries expecting to get warriors. Instead, they'd found something far more valuable. Teachers who could show them how to transcend their limitations, partners who could help them grow beyond their rigid traditions, and friends who could help them imagine new possibilities. The gravity of their world had never been the real challenge. The true test had been learning to rise above their prejudices, to reach for something greater than mere survival or profit. And with humanity's help, they were finally learning to fly. Out in the asteroid field, another Trinity-class ship began its maiden voyage, carrying the combined hopes and dreams of 3 species who had learned that the strongest gravity in the universe wasn't physical at all. It was the force that drew different peoples together in pursuit of a common future.